I sometimes ask, make it clear to yourself what you want to do with your life. With the rest of your life. What do you want to achieve? This isn't just a so-so question. It's a question of importance. At the end of our life, and the end will come sooner or later. We don't want to look back on our life and see that we have wasted. At least we wanted to have something done that is worthwhile. Worthwhile, that means that lasts, not only for this life, but for the next life as well. Not just go in line with the feeling, in line with your intuitions, in line with the wantings and dislikes. Just make it from now on every day clear. And what if you have an aim, what you want to do with your life, make it every day clear that you are on the right track to fulfill it. Whatever it is, may be worldly or may be spiritual. Otherwise, you will lose yourself. Listen to this very carefully. It's so easy to change one's decision from today on tomorrow. So today I want to do this, and tomorrow I want to do that. And another day I want to do another thing. And if you look back on your life, that's exactly what we have done. We haven't just had a red line through our lives. We just followed our wants and likes. We avoided our dislikes, and that's what normally is happening. I just want to make that very clear, and I hope you understand this point. Make it clear to yourself. What do you want to achieve? Be it in spiritual terms or be it in worldly terms, I don't care. But then do it. When we were young, we had some intention to do. We went to the school or went to university, and then after that, everything got stuck. We thought we have fulfilled everything what we wanted, and that's it. But that is not the reason why we come here. We come here all of a certain reason. And most of us come because they find life is very dissatisfactory. And you wanted to do something, and that's the reason what brought you here. So don't forget that. The moment we feel better, it is like, when we are sick or when we get ill, the moment we feel we are sick or we are ill or we have an illness, that we are going to die, and everything, the whole world is terrible. The moment we get better, we forget everything about the sickness and everything what we thought about. This is the way of life. This is the way of avijja. This is the way of kilesa. They make us forget, and our good intentions are lost. So when we come back, even when we've been here for a month or 2 months, when we come back and when we make the intention, to go on doing the practice, daily practice, after a month, we get so uptight in the world that we completely forget it. We forget it. How can we forget it? Because this pulls us and that pulls us, but it has pulled us since our birth. Since we were a little child, we saw this nice color, then we wanted to have. Or we smelled something, then we wanted to have. And we saw something that we dislike, and we run away. That is the normal way of the world. And that's what makes us lose our intention. And I promise you that without having a red line, without following your intention, or doing these things, doing the practice constantly, there is no hope that you get anywhere. You do practice until you feel fine, and then you completely forget it. Everything is fine, so perfectly fine, so what to worry about? Nothing to worry about. Then we wait for another 5 or 10 years, until all the dukkha comes back. And then we start again. It's like when we have an illness, we thought, oh, well, I didn't take care of my body, So when we are sick, we think, we have a very good intention taking care of our body. And after we get well, we take care 1 week, 2 weeks, and then it's gone. We forget it because we feel so good. And then the dukkha comes back again. Then the pain and disheartenment comes back into our life, and then we think, oh, there was something. Yeah, why did I forget it? And on the path of practice, on the path that leads out to the end of dukkha, we cannot. To the end of our life. This is something that should stick in our heart. And sometimes it's good, or it's better if it sticks like a thorn that constantly rubs in our heart and tells us we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. Otherwise, if we just follow our mind, that's where we are going. We know that. We've lived so long. And that's the way it is. We know the way. It will not change. Normally, if we just follow our intention, it will get worse. If we do not change our intentions, if we do not clear out the things, clear them out of our heart, then nothing will change. It just becomes worse and worse and worse. If you think about dirty laundry that you pile up and pile up and pile up because you're lazy to wash, or sometimes once in a year you start washing, but the pile is like a mountain, and so you give it up. Dirty laundry comes every day. Bad thoughts, bad intention, greed and hate comes every day. Every day, every moment, every hour. Is there always, all the time. And it will have its effects on the future. So if we cut them, if we do not clean them, they will always come back. And they will store up. It's not that they just go away. They will store up. And they will store up in one place. And this place is the place of the heart. And wherever we go, we take this heart with us. So wherever we go, we have this big store of unpleasant sensations, of unpleasant memories, of unpleasant thoughts, and of unpleasant effects, of unpleasant karma. That's where we go, we have it. Wherever we want to go, we want to flee away from it. Where we go, we have it. It's still there. Because the house is within us. That's where it is. We just cannot change the situation. We cannot change the town. We cannot change the place. Because if we change the place or change our profession or change our hairstyle or clothes style, it doesn't matter. The house will not change. Our house, that's what we call self, will not change. It will store up just one bad thing after the other. Just make it clear, I just speak to you now to listen to it very carefully. Just make it clear to yourself. That's the way it is. That's the way it has been, and that's the way it will be. So if you don't do something, if you're not going to clean up the place where you live in, it's just like you have a room, and you put all the garbage in this room. There's no place to live in. And especially, when you come into the room, you see it, and you have to close your eyes because you're so disgusted what you see. But you still put in more garbage, and more garbage, and more garbage, and more garbage, because you want to close your eyes. You don't want to see it, what is in there, what's in the heart. You still amount a lot of garbage. Every day, every minute, every hour, every second. The garbage comes into the heart. And if you have done some practice, you know. Immediately know. Where is this all coming from? It's coming from one place, from our heart. That's where it comes from. So if you don't clean it out, it will still come from. And especially if you don't clean it out and if you follow our old intention, it will amount, it will increase. Well, if you like this, I don't have any objections to it. It's your life. You have to have the responsibility. You have to take the responsibility of your life. I've taken the responsibility for my life. That's all what I can do. I cannot take on responsibility for any other people. So you should be aware that every moment, every second, every mind moment, and there are, in a blink of an eye, there are 3,000 mind moments. We do come up. And that amounts in the heart. It piles up in the heart. And wherever we go, we have it. So every mind moment we are on our Buddha. Or we are on the breath. This is a moment where we don't pile up things. Do you understand it? Every moment we are with the present. With the present moment. Either focused on our word Buddha, or focused on the breath, or focused on our object of investigation. The kilesas have no power. So, the kilesas have no power to put garbage in our heart. But if the moment we are not mindful, they are very active. They put and pile it up. And it's so much garbage. It's so much garbage that we don't want even to open our eyes and see it. And that's where the problem is. And that's what also called delusion. Or blindness. Not knowing avijja. We just don't want to see it. We don't want to see the reality that is going on in this world. We just don't want to see it. We live in our dreams, we live in our thoughts, and we live in our memories. That's what we call reality. But what do they have to do with reality? Think about it. The thought about this, the thought about that, what has it to do with reality? Reality is just this one moment. That's what reality is. And this one moment, if you're present at this one moment, that's what a reality is. A thought is not real. A thought comes and goes. A memory comes and goes. A feeling comes and goes. The body comes and goes. So what we perceive normally in our daily life has nothing to do with reality. Because what we perceive is what we want to perceive. What we see is what we want to see. What we smell is what we want to smell. And what we feel is what we want to feel. Or what we don't want to feel. Or what we don't want to see. That's what is happening. It's not just happening like not just it is. Just it is. The moment we are just one moment we are mindful of just the Buddha. That's reality. We are mindful of the breath. That is reality. We are mindful of the body. That is reality. We are not going out in thoughts or assumptions about this body, or conclusions about this body, or conclusions about this feeling. We're just staying with the feeling, or we're just staying with the sight, or we're just staying with the hearing. And not, when I say we're staying with the sight, we don't see any object. That's what I mean. We stay with the sight. The moment we see any object, we are already gone. We're just staying with what we see. Or we're just staying with what we hear. When we immediately identify it as a cock or as this or that, then we are already gone. Then we are not in the present moment. We are back in memories or back in thoughts. The thought comes up, this cock is crying too much. And it has cried yesterday already and the day before. But that is not the present moment. That has been the past and our future or our imagination. That has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with our sights. If you see a person, identify this person as a woman or a male, then we are gone already. Let's just see the true nature of it. See what is happening. But we have to train it. Our mind is going out constantly. It wants to identify objects. Objects that it sees, or object that it hears, or object that it tastes. Now we're trying to figure out the taste of the food that we eat in the morning. What kind of food is it? Have I eaten it before? Do I like it or don't I like it? Do I want to eat it the next morning again? And the next morning it doesn't come, and then we feel sorry. That's the way it happens. Look what is happening around you. And a place like this, a monastery like this, is a perfect environment for looking at these things that are happening just right within our vicinity. Get mindful. Get aware of every moment that is taking place. You know how important mindfulness is. You know how important awareness is. The Lord Buddha teaches us that person who has mindfulness for 7 days and 7 nights can gain enlightenment within these 7 days or after these 7 days and 7 nights. That's how important mindfulness is. Constantly being on the spot. Not going out into this thought or not going out into that memory. This is the only shortcut that exists for enlightenment. There is no other shortcut. Being mindful of the pleasant feelings that arise, being mindful of the unpleasant feelings that arise. And staying with the feelings, not dreaming about, this is a nice feeling. Because the moment we think this is a nice feeling, we are gone already. Then we try to reproduce this nice feeling, be it in meditation, or this kind of meditation brought me this nice feeling. And we're gone. And that's what we constantly do. Constantly evaluate things. Constantly think, this is nice or this is not nice. How can I get rid of it? How can I get more of it? That's our thoughts. And that's our actions. But it has nothing to do with the reality. It hides the reality behind. Behind these thoughts and behind this memory, sanya sankhara are the most important factors that hide us the whole thing that is happening. Vedana in the body distracts us a lot. But sanya sankhara is the main chief, or is the chief of delusion, or the chief of deception. But not sanya and sankhara in itself, but avijja using sanya and sankhara to blind us, to completely blind us. Constantly we are in the past, or constantly we are in the future. Switching from the past to the future, from the future to the past. Comparing, evaluating, and creating new thoughts, how to make a better future. Instead of observing what is going on. And that's where our fault lies. And that's where we have to grab it. That's where we have to put the stake. Put a pole. And bind our mind, or bind our chitta very tight to this pole. And this pole is called mindfulness. And to train mindfulness, we are only mindful or aware of one object at a time. So when we do samadhi, we are mindful only of Buddha, or of the breath coming in at the tip of the nose, nowhere else. Not thinking about, oh, yesterday I've done this, and that brought me some nice feeling, so I'll do it again. And then I switch from method to method. And this is the way of the mind, a monkey mind. It's constantly switching, constantly running around. And only if we come close, only if we stay with the Buddha, or if we stay with the object of calm, object of samatha, like the breath, then we see, when the mind really focuses it, then we see how the chitta wiggles. How it constantly wiggles around. And to bring this to stillness is to enter one-pointedness. And if you remember I said about one-pointedness, if we really want to have a preview of Nibbana, then we should go there. It is. And I promise you, you will never forget it. It is an experience you will never forget it. It burns into the heart like the experience of touching burning fire. It burns into the heart, and the whole life you will not forget it. The experience of Appana Samadhi, the experience of the complete calmness of the mind, of the peacefulness of the true nature of the mind. So if we do not bind our mindfulness very tight to the pole of attention, that means the object of either Buddha or the breath, then we will never ever, how much you think, how much you imagine, get there. Only if we do the work we will get there. Don't worry what is going to happen. If we are going to die, don't worry if we are going to die. If the breath disappears and we think we are going to die, then we are going out. Just don't worry about, let's see what is going to die and what is going to stay. That is the only thing. We are only interested, who knows about this? Who tells us the thought? Who knows about the thought, I'm going to die? And what is going to die anyway? Whatever is going to die, let it die. It's not the chitta that is going to die. The chitta is never dying. But everything else can die. It dies anyway. Any moment it dies. It arises anew and it dies. It arises anew and dies anyway. So this is the only thing that can die away. Thoughts arise and cease. Thoughts arise and cease. Memory arises and cease. Feelings arise and cease. Even this body arises and ceases. And this whole world and universe arises and ceases. So this can die. But the one who knows about this arising and ceasing, get to it. Get to see your true nature of the chitta, at least for once. Get to it. It's not beyond your abilities to do it. But as I said, if you don't have the intention to do it, you will never do it. As I said in the beginning, be very careful how to lead your life, how to lead your daily life. If you want this, then you can get it. You wanted to walk, so you can walk. You wanted to speak, you can speak. You went to university and did this or did that, And you did it. So, you can do this the same way. If you just put your intention. And that is intention and determination and effort. And that is what is lacking. And I don't know how. I really don't know how I can make this point clear to you. I really don't know. I'm going to despair, if I see it. And I don't know, I did it myself, I'm talking from own experience. I told you, I had the determination to do it. So I did it. And if you have the determination to do it, you can do it. But you come across a little hindrance and then you fail. You think this is too much or that is too much. This should not be done and that should not be done. Or this kind of practice is not right, or that kind of practice is not right. The Lord Buddha teaches this very clearly. He teaches us the Eightfold Path. He teaches us Sila, Samadhi and Panya. And Samadhi means concentration. And what do we do in the West? This is not so important. Panya is the one that gets us free. That's why we only concentrate on Panya, on wisdom. We want to investigate. We do just Vipassana. Investigate what? We run around in our thoughts and imagination, thinking about this and thinking about that. And that's what we call investigation. If we do not have Samadhi, if we do not have the ability to really go deep into the thing, to really concentrate for 15 minutes on the same object without the mind running here and running there, then we will be able to penetrate it. But if the mind runs constantly from this object to another object of investigation, what kind of investigation is it? Then Ajahn Boy says it's worthless. It's useless. It never gets us anywhere. Somebody, a few years ago, somebody told him, what they are doing in the West, that they say Samadhi is not important. And he said, it's bullshit. It's completely bullshit. It's like you have kitchen work to do. You have to cut up the things for making your soup. If you have a knife that is completely blunt, you cannot do the kitchen. You all know that. Try to cut the tree of life. And that's what is called greed, hate, and delusion, the tree of life. With a blunt knife. And you can do that for 100 years. You can cut. And cutting is the way of wisdom. Cutting here and cutting there and cutting there. And it will not have any effect on the tree. It make a little scrap, and the moment we do something else, the scrap is gone. So without Samadhi, without the power of sati, without the power of mindfulness, we don't get anywhere. And if we do not train this mindfulness, and we see it, we just see it within these 10 days or 2 weeks or 2 months that we are here, how difficult it is that to make the mind stay on one object. You see it for yourself how difficult it is. But it's like, watching an experiment, and not only paying attention once in a while. How will we ever understand this experiment? No way that we understand it. If we do not watch it permanently, without letting go, without our mindfulness letting go of what is taking place, how will we ever understand the magic of the 5 khandhas and the magic of Avijja, who uses the 5 khandhas to produce this whole world? To produce this whole universe, to produce constantly our dukkha. If we do not understand the intermingling of the 5 khandhas, then there is no hope that we ever go beyond dukkha. There's no hope. We can scratch on the surface, but the scratches, they will heal very fast. But we'll never get down to the base. Sati, or mindfulness, is the basis. Before we even start any work. Just get this clear. And reflect about very carefully what you want to do with your life. And then do it. Just do it. Every day. Don't forget what your intention was. If it's a good intention, don't forget the good intention. If it's a bad intention, forget it very fast. That's where we need the ability to forget. When something unwholesome comes in us, then we forget to do it. We just forget to do it. Like we forget to do the good things. We're so easily fooled into this and to that. The mind comes always up. The mind constantly whispers. Or the chitta, or avijja, or the kilesas are like little mockingbirds behind our ears. Constantly whispering is, this I want, this I don't want. This I like, this I don't like. This I am not. Constantly whispering. Huh? Just listen to it. And you see it. And we believe it. Yes, of course, yes, of course, yes, of course. It's so important. Be it monks or be it lay people, it's the same thing. This is so important, and we think we have to do. And then we forget everything, why we came here, why we ordained. We just forget it. We forget why we ordained. We ordained only for one reason, for the overcoming of dukkha. Or we come here to practice just for one reason, to get rid of dukkha. But you know the power of these little mockingbirds behind your ears. And of course you have to do it, It just tells you, I have to go to the toilet, or I have to go to drink, or I have to eat something, or I have to go back into the world. And then you say, yes, yes, sure, yes. And do it. Just go ahead. Never question it. Just sit on the bed, please. It's cold. I put these things really to your heart. I really don't know what to do. How to get this important into your heart, that you see it, that you understand it. Because this is the thing that pulls you out. If you have the determination and effort, it will pull you out. You can do anything what you want. If you want to learn magic, you can learn magic if you want. If you really want to. If you want to walk up across the water, you can do it. It takes a while, but you can do it. If you want to be a physician, you can do it. If you want to be this, or if you want to be that, you can do it. But if you want to be free, you can do it as well. So it's up to you what you want. Don't forget the reason that brought you here. Just now that you feel better after 1 month or 2 months, oh, I feel so good, Then you forget it. Forget the work that has brought you this good. Forget the work that has brought you the wholesomeness of the mind, or showed you the wholesome states of the mind. And then you forget it, and slowly, and everything comes back and returns back to the same thing. If you're not constantly at this kind of work, if you're not constantly until you finish, determined to do it every day, then you will fail. Like if you want to go to university, make a degree in this and that, and then you decide every month to go there one day. The next month you have already forgotten whatever you learned that day. How can it be done? You know it cannot be done. Or just think about, you want to learn to walk, or you want to learn to talk. You do it once a month, that's enough. Or once a week, that's enough. If you're constantly after it, you will not be able to do it. We know that. In the beginning, at least as long as we were young, we knew it, or we had the feeling or forced to do it. But the moment we grow up, we are capable of dealing with this body. We speak and we can think and we can act in this world and we adults. We forgot all the things that we have done. We have forgot all the 15 or 16 years that took us to train this body. Train this body to move, train this body to speak, and train this body, or train this chitta to think. We forget it. We just think it's normal. And it's the same thing with practice. You just do it, that is the main focus of your life. That's the main focus of your life. You just do it. And the rest of the things that you need to do in lay life, you just press it. But this must be the main focus. I hope I made it clear. It's not so easy, if from my own experience, it's not so easy. One is so full, so easily full. And if I wouldn't have come here to this place, I would have be fooled in the same way. I was practicing in England and in Germany for 6 years. And I really thought, I understood. I really thought. I understood. I understood what enlightenment is, what this is, what that is, what that is. And then I came here to this place. Because I thought there was one thing in my heart that told me there's something wrong. There's something wrong, there's something missing. There's a central point missing. So I came here. I came here to this place. And it took me about 2 years to reprogram or to brainwash and to understand Dhamma on a completely different level. And Thanacha Mahaboa helped me a lot with that. All my imagination, my views about what is what and what is that and what is this and what is that, he got rid of. But it took me 2 years of reprogramming. 2 years of brainwashing, completely brainwashing. That's not true. Whenever I had a thought, this is what enlightenment is, it didn't happen. It happened just a few days later, where Thanacha Mahaboa talked about the subject and said, this is not. And I thought, that's amazing. That's amazing. Just wrong views. And the wrong views. Because in Europe, because in the Western world, we only deal with our brains. We only deal with our brains. So we imagine everything. We read the scriptures, we understand the scriptures, but we only understand them with our brains. And so we have all the views. All views. And the views are different. That's why there are different groups. And they're fighting each other because they think their view is right or the other group thinks their view is right. And this had all to be vanished within myself. This had to be cleaned out from my own mind. And that's why I tell you. It had to be cleaned out, and it took 2 years. 2 years until I was clean, I was empty. My mind was empty. And then I could sip in the Dhamma. Then I could sip in the Dhamma of Tanacha Mahaprabhu. But if I would have come, and not let go of my ideas from the West, I would have not succeeded. So it had to be cleared up. It is. And as I said, for the Westerners, we are so much trained from our youth on to the last day of our life to use our brain. To read this, to understand this, to get knowledge about this. So that's normally when we turn to Dhamma, it's the same thing that we do. So we understand things wrongly. We have views and opinions. And views and opinions. When we read the scriptures say one thing. But one person reads the scriptures in this way, and another person reads it in that way. It's the same words. But the one person understands this, and the other person understands that. It's like the different signs I told you, I think, a few days ago. The different signs that all point to Wat Bapanta. Tanacha Mahaprabhu uses this example very clearly, very often. There are different signs. One sign, is in gold letters. Another sign is in copper, engraved copper. Another sign is just a loose piece of paper sloppily written on. This is the direction to the forest monastery of Banta. And people see the signs and discuss the signs, and they think it must be something very different. Or they see the signs and have the imagination. There's somebody who sees the gold sign, he thinks, oh, this must be an extremely beautiful place. So he's looking for a beautiful place and will never find it. And the other thing, who sees the sloppy handwriting, thinks this must be a sloppy place. And because he looks for this sloppy place, he will never find it. And the other person, he will never find it. Because we do not see what it points to. If we would see, if we would understand that these are just signposts that point into the direction, and if we go in this direction, we will end up. But because of our imagination we have when we see the signpost, we will end up in the wrong place. We might see Bantat, and not even realize that this. Because our imagination about what Bantat are different. So we say, this cannot be this. And then we turn away. They're all signs. The whole scriptures of the Lord Buddha are just signposts. They're pointing to the truth. They are not the truth. They have nothing to do. They really have nothing to do with the truth whatsoever. They're just pointing. They're giving us the direction. And they're not only giving us the direction, they're giving us the way how to walk. And that's all. So if we don't walk, if we don't actually take one step at a time, it's like if we start out from Munich and want to go to Beijing. If we do not do one step after another, we will never end up in Beijing. And if we take a wrong turn, so maybe we end up in Prague, and then we think, oh, this is a beautiful city. So, and then we stop. And forget all about Beijing. And it's the same thing with Nibbana. We all forget about Nibbana. We all have beautiful views how Nibbana should be, And we manipulate and manipulating, but it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with Nibbana. And if I wouldn't have come here to this place, I would have been lost in the same kind of illusions that is happening in the West. And when I just visited Germany just a few months ago, that is what is predominant. Views and opinions about Nibbana, views, opinion about practice. That's all what is there. But nobody actually knows the way. And that was the reason. And listen to this very carefully. I looked in England, I looked in Germany. That was the reason why I came here. Because I wanted to find some person, one person, who can tell me the way out. And that's why I had to come here. Because I knew within my heart that Tanacha Mahaprabhu He has realized the truth. Just from reading the book straight from the heart, I knew this is the person who knows the truth. So I had to come. But because of the language troubles, because of the different culture, I was scared, and that what delayed my coming here. And that's the only thing that I regret. Not have come earlier. But staying and wasting 4 years of time in Europe. Finding this teacher and finding that teacher. And at that time, when I was there, I knew most of the teachers who are there in the Vipassana series. I met all the people. But compared to what I met here, it's just no comparison. The moment I saw Tanaja Mahaprabhu, just the first time I saw him, I know I'm back. I'm home. I'm home. I have found my spiritual home, and I have found my spiritual father and spiritual mother. It's so easy. And because of the 6 years of experience in the West, I tell you, it's so easy to get fooled. Even though I had deep experiences, even I had very deep experience, just being around, hanging around the scene of Vipassana and the teachers that were there at the present time, made me go wrong in the wrong direction. Thinking this about this, thinking that about this. And if my heart wouldn't have, rebuked or revolted, I just would have ended up like that. But it revolted, it said, no, there is something wrong. And to get out all this bullshit, it took 2 years to brainwash. And that Champagne helped me a lot. And I think Kunyi remembers the first talk. How long was it for? It was nearly 4 months, wasn't it? Champagne gave a talk nearly every day, and in the end, every second day. And all the views and all the opinions I had. How long was it? About 12 years ago. Huh? You remember, I mean?
Still in his state.
Huh?
Still in his state. Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know where they are. So if you have found a teacher, and the Lord Buddha tells us, if you found a teacher, or you found a Kalyana Mitta, stick with him. It's the whole of the spiritual life. Because Ananda asked the Lord Buddha, if a Kalyana Mitta, a spiritual friend, is half of the spiritual life. The Lord Buddha replied, don't say this. A spiritual friend is whole of the spiritual life. If you have somebody who can lead you the way to the end of dukkha, and you want to go to the end of dukkha, stick with him, whatever. Even if he kicks you out, the Lord Buddha tells us, even if the teacher kicks you out, stick with him, come back. Even if the environment or conditions to live with this teacher are extremely harsh, stay with him. Because he can lead you out. And just think about Thailand. And there's no other country in the whole world that has that amount, or produced within the last century, that amount of arahants. There's no country on the whole planet that had in the last century more arahants than Thailand. And this was due to the first teacher of Ajahn Sao and Ajahn Mun. Out of their tradition, at least, 50 to 100 arahants came out. Out of their tradition, 50 to 100 arahants. And then Ajahn Mahaprabhu, second generation. Out of his tradition, at least 25 arahants, if not even 50. We don't know, the numbers are not clear. So look around in the world. Where is this place? Where's the place? Where's the region on this whole planet? And if you know that there are still arahants be born, then you can still assume that the path is not broken, that the path is still valid. The path that leads to arahantship is still there, it's still not obstructed. But the time is running out, even for time. The conditions are becoming like the conditions in the West. Everything is comfortable, so nobody needs to practice. And if you look at the suttas, or if you look at the text, what did the Lord Buddha describe? There are the forests, there are the opens, there is the trees, there are the caves, there are the hills. And that's where you should go. Not in groups, but yourself. By yourself. That's the places where you can learn Dhamma. The caves, the forests, the hills, the open places, where no other people are, where no other practitioners are. Because then you are just confronted with your own self. And then you have to deal with it. Because you cannot put the blame on anybody. Or you cannot put the blame on the animals, or you cannot put the blame on the place. Especially not on your neighbor who's constantly doing this or doing that. In your eyes it's wrong. There's nobody except you. And that's why the forest is called, or why this place is also called the Forest University. It's a place where we learn from the forest, from the animals, where we are on ourselves, where we normally are with ourselves and deal with ourselves, and not with others. We have enough problems with ourselves, let's clear them out first. So, and with this I end my talk.